art NFTs have taken off and we've seen it integrated into the music space, but some are saying that the comedy world will be turned upside down after NFTs. Now, you may be thinking that this sounds dramatic, but after you see that there was the very first comedy show that was produced and sold on the blockchain, you will know that we are not fungible joking.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Look, if you've been in the NFT space for any amount of time at all, you know it seems like it's focused on art. But now it's kind of going into like different directions and you see a lot of people adopting it. You see sneaker brands and other things. But what if you're not an artist, but you're still a creative like me or Heather? Like, what do you do
You're
then?
creative?
Huh?
Yeah, I'm just joking. You will not believe the innovative ways that comedians are using NFTs to propel their career. Hang on to the end because you're going to hear about the very first comedy show that actually gave participants the ability to make some money themselves from the show that they witnessed.
Before we get into all that, though, we have to figure out the two problems that NFTs solve for comedians. Like, if we're going to get into this NFT world, like, what problem is it solving? All right. So the first one is going to be, Heather, what do you think it is?
Money, money, money.
Oh, I got a joke.
Tell me.
How come there's no gambling in Africa?
Why?
There's too many cheetahs.
The blockchain can't solve and help with that, though. As you can tell,
That's
a comedian's
funny.
life is hard. No, it's not.
That is so funny.
Being a comedian is really hard. I mean, a lot
No,
of
it's
people think
not.
like,
I'm a comedian.
you just go up and you make jokes and you have a good time in your life or whatever. But it is freaking hard, dude. You just said money is like one of the hardest things to figure out how to do because believe it or not, you don't make tons of dollars unless you got a special.
It especially became hard during the pandemic, which, I mean, I actually think you have a better chance during the pandemic because you can just like really hone into your online presence. Like that dude,
Yeah,
Trevor,
but you're an
whoever,
online person. You're an online person. That's a skill set in and of itself. And learning how to communicate online is different than on the stage.
Well, let me read this little article. No joke, Hannibal Buress. Oh, I like him. Several comedians referenced being on stage 200 times the year before and 0 times last year. JAMBB CEO Alex D'Annunzio told CoinDesk. When we produced Non-Fungible Jokin' in July, the majority of performers said that was their first time in front of a live audience in over a year. We see JAMBB as an opportunity to help comedians create new value. So we're going to get into what JAMBB does, but hello, they're solving a money problem for comedians because comedians are broke. It's already hard as it is. And then when it comes to a pandemic, it's even more challenging. So this is actually a company. I do like this already, that the company's trying to come in and help the comedians out. So the second problem they solve, though, is plagiarism.
Who be plagiarizing
People
up in the
steal
comedy
jokes
world
all the time.
Let's break it down back to the Bible. Let's go back to the Bible days. It says there's nothing new under the sun. Like, I get that some people plagiarize, but also too, like, how would you ever really know who originally said this joke? Because there's only so many jokes in the world.
Check this out.
Check
I was scrolling through, I was doing research for someone today that I'm coaching, and I was going through Instagram and looking at reels, and I was watching some reels of people with their original audio. Like, it was like me saying, you know, this one sales technique is going to save you millions of dollars and blah, blah, blah. And they give like a reason and blah, blah, blah. Then I'm like scrolling. And then I see someone really famous saying this. You know what I mean? Or like a real famous thinker or celebrity or someone giving a speech saying like these amazing words. And I'm just like, dude, plagiarism is like crazy. And then you got guys like Gary Vee who's like, dude, people copy me all the time and sell my content for money. He's like, there's nothing I could do about it, so I don't care. But clearly that's not the direction we want to go here. And before we move on for a second, like Joe Rogan, I think that dude's name is Carlos Mencia. And I used to watch Carlos, but I remember this clip, and I'm going to post it here in a second, of him going buck wild on him for ripping off other people's jokes and you know, kind of projecting them as his own. So like, this is a real big thing, and we're not comedians. I know you guys think we're comedians, but this is a real big problem to solve. Day. So I think it's good. Here's the clip real quick.
I've never even heard that from you guys. You like to miss new material, and then comes points in time new material when you don't have anything about the subject, so you take other shit.
how do comedians use NFTs? I'm going to read a tweet real quick. Joke is at an intersection of adoption, successfully bringing comedians into the crypto space. Tokens, NFTs, metaverse. It's been a huge undertaking as the average comedian are not also crypto investors.
And that's why I wanted to do this show, is because I've had a lot of friends who are comedians say they're interested in the NFT space, but since they haven't been crypto investors, since they haven't been in this world, there's almost like this huge intimidation factor of like, I'm really busy writing jokes and worrying about my brand. Like, do I have to sit here and learn about the blockchain? And so these examples we're about to give, once I think kind of obvious, maybe a no-brainer for how you could use the NFT space. But what we're about to get into towards the end with this comedy show that was on the blockchain, the implications of that are huge for you if you are trying to build up your career and maybe have been struggling for years and years and years. And I think some of the mystery can be taken out by looking at some of these examples we're about to provide.
Yeah, I would challenge the whole thing about the average comedian can't invest in crypto or doesn't know about crypto. I would say the average person is not like looking into that.
True.
You know what I'm saying? But
True.
Here's one thing, and I could see this. The obvious thing is this: if you have old school material and you want it to be like on the blockchain in a ledger tied to you, you could turn it into an NFT like YouTuber and comedian Brent Tapella did, where he's auctioning bits of his first viral comedy video about Spirit Airlines. Cool perks, part of it goes to charity, and then one of the holders will get a signed picture from him, and here's the video.
The NFT will be released as 2 parts, part 1 with the opening jokes and part 2 with the full true story. 10 total pieces will be up for auction, 5 for part 1 and 5 for part 2, and the highest bid for each will become the true owner of that piece of content. Plus, the highest bidders will also receive a high-quality still image from the video, hand-signed by me, delivered in mail in real life, which is probably worth like $1 billion.
Brent Pella, I don't know you, but I know Eddie Murphy and I know Dave Chappelle. So it's like, let's just say they had like Eddie Murphy Delirious or something, like the original recording of it as an NFT, and you got to meet Eddie Murphy. Like, dude, something like that is absolutely crazy. And I don't think anyone would rip off Eddie Murphy's jokes anyway, but for up and coming comedians, I think it's huge. But Heather, what else? What else? If you don't have a huge following, what's another way?
So obviously, if you have a big following, people are going to want to buy your merch, whether it's digital or physical or whatever. But that's a luxury. That's something that's been that's really hard to accumulate. And if you don't have that online, and you're like, okay, I'm making an NFT, but nobody wants to buy it, I think finding companies like JAMBB, finding companies that are doing stuff like this, and figuring out how you can lock arms with them or apply what they're doing to your own work. Check out what they did. So they created the world's first, the very first comedy show that was completely produced and sold on the blockchain. So let me explain what they did. What they did essentially is they hosted a comedy night with several comedians and a host, and they took that entire night of comedy and broke it down into individual NFTs. So think about like a 30-second clip from the second comedian that's now a video that you can actually buy. They did that with the entire set. And what they did is they put all of these different pieces into packs where the audience, whether they were there or after the fact, can buy these packs of pieces of that show. Now, why would they want to do that? This is the cool part. The rarity, they created packs of rarity. So some jokes, some pieces from that event were more special than others, which automatically makes them more valuable. So if Rich, I think the packs were like between $25 and $35, something like that. If you wanted to go buy a pack from that night, you open it up and you get segments of that show. Now, you can have actual rights, depending on the pack that you get, of those jokes and of those pieces, which means you can do whatever you want with those clips. In fact, they said on their website that you can put those up on YouTube. You can recreate your own comedy nights. And guess what? Since you own those as the NFT, you can make any ad dollars, do whatever you want with those clips. Now, how does that benefit comedians and the production team? Well, if you know anything about NFTs, anytime that those are resold, you get a percentage, what secondary sales of that. And so the production team wins, the comedian wins, the participants win. Is this blowing your mind? Is this confusing you, Rich?
I get it. I'm thinking of it like this. If it's a comedian, plumbers are going to be like, I need to get in on this. And then swimmers are going to be like, I need to get in on. I'm just thinking of when this becomes a little bit more commonplace, how people are going to approach it like JAMBB is, and just be like, what problem do we always have that we need to solve that is potentially solvable by blockchain technology. It's interesting.
Mhm.
Like, is it my thing? Like, oh, cool. Like, I'd like to buy a comedy NFT. No, hell no, but all good.
Yeah, but if you went to go see a comedian that you really liked and you know that you could buy part of his set and you have the legal rights to put that anywhere in your own content and that is your piece, think about that. That's pretty badass.
Yeah.
Here's another cool thing buyers can do is they can choose to rent out their content instead through this company's galleries. So if you think about, right now, if you want to go watch a comedy show, where would you go? You go to Netflix, right? So a lot of people are wanting deals through Netflix, get their own show. But if we can put power in the creator's hands and the consumer's hands where you own some of Kevin Hart's set, right? And you can rent it out in the gallery if people watch it. I want to watch it. You're like, that's $10. How they can go rent it in the gallery or whatever. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's not
as long as that
Netflix
wasn't,
controlling
like,
everything.
Screen recordable.
I know this is confusing, but this is what I think is interesting. I think it's stretching our creativity quite a bit and thinking about how can I apply this to the work that I want to do? And are we collaborating with people who are moving in this direction? Or are we just pursuing traditional paths?
That's something
You know what
that
I'm saying?
we've been saying since we've been doing this, right? Like, this is going to force businesses,
Force 'em.
creative people to just get creative. So it's not all bad. Like, as much as people think we're tied to technology, like, it's actually in a way forcing creativity, and you can choose to or not. But like, a lot of the principles that go into Web 3.0 are going to be applicable for a very long time. So very interesting.
I'm gonna. Something else is about to be forced.
What's that?
Instead of doing a pod deck, I want to force you to tell me your favorite one-liner because it better not be the cheetah
Oh shit.
poker.
Fuck, I don't know.
What do you call a deer with no eyes? No idea.
Oh my. And you thought cheetahs was
What?
bad?
What do you call a deer with no eyes and no legs?
What?
Still no idea. Comedy special right now. You can get the pack and sell it in the gallery.
All right, Heather asked me my joke. I finally thought of one, so you guys just missed 5 minutes of nonsense. What did the math problem? No. What did the tree say to the math problem? Gee, I'm a tree.
I like how you're. I like that one.
I think. Is that how it goes? I don't even know that.
You know, with comedy, it's all in the delivery, and you nailed that.
Oh, thank you.
Nailed it.
All right.
You're
All right. I'm
welcome.
in the gallery too now. All right. So, hey, before we head out, guys, sometimes we'll do news episodes just like this. But of course, we want to continue to teach you. So please make sure you join our Discord or DM us any ideas or things that you want solved. And we are on it. We are focused on giving you the best possible information that we can in our own way, of course. So that's all I got.
And if you haven't done so yet, check out the world's first toothbrushing NFT.